Go to the cloud. Okay, does it look like the recording started on your end? Did a thing pop up for you?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna make this full screen. And then we'll get started. Okay, so welcome to everyone who's here or watching the replay online afterwards. We will have this on our YouTube channel. My name is Kate Theobald. I'm class of 09. I work in alumni engagement at UWG. And I won't spend too much time on that stuff because we're very excited to have Nick Kugler, who's one of our board members. He graduated West Georgia 08 and 09, and he's going to lead us through tips for car buying and insurance. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you, Nick, and just let me know when you need slides changed.
Perfect. Thanks, Kate. Welcome, everybody. So wanted to, this was kind of a brainchild of myself and Allison and Kate to try and reach out to some of the new grads, kind of understand, coming out of college, I didn't know much about insurance or about car buying or about, adulting in general. So wanted to kind of put some kind of lunch and learn, virtual experiences together to try and give you some education, tell you a little bit about insurance, about the car buying process, especially in today's crazy market, kind of best ways you can navigate that and what to look for, when choosing your insurance company, when you're, getting off your parents' insurance, and getting your first real jobs post college and getting insurance. So looking forward to work with all of y'all. As Kate said, I'm a West Georgia alum, graduated 08, 09. I recently opened the Geico local office out here in Noonan. So work with the Noonan campus at West Georgia as well as Carrollton campus. So, we're here as a resource. So, after this, if you have any questions whatsoever when it comes to, your insurance or if you'd like an insurance quote, we'd be happy to help kind of guide you through that process, get you the best rate and kind of help you understand, what you're getting. In the car buying as well too. So we'll kind of go through that, but good to meet everybody and look forward to talking with you today. Go ahead, next slide, Kate. So navigating the car market, especially right now in today's crazy market, the inventory is rather slim. A lot of times, if you're looking for a new car, you got to order it, or you got to get lucky. So do your research, don't just settle on a car, find something that's going to be good for you, whether you're commuting, whether you need gas mileage, whether you've got a family and you need space for the kids. Do your research, search online, try and find exactly what you want. Look at Kelley Blue Book values, Carfax. There's a wealth of, was it True Car? I think the other one. There's a wealth of tools out there that you can do to kind of research. And kind of narrow it down. I work with, all of the dealerships in Carrollton and Noonan and the Grange. So, if there's any, if you narrow it down, whether it's a Toyota or it's a Nissan or it's a Chevy or GMC or whatever it might be, feel free to reach out to me. I know managers, I know sales reps at every dealership around here, so I can kind of get you in touch with the right people to negotiate a good deal. In all honesty, if you don't need to buy a car right now, I probably wouldn't do it, just because of the price and the availability out there. But if you need a car, I mean, really at this point, it's better to buy new. You're going to get that warranty. You're going to get that peace of mind, and really, you're going to pay a couple extra grand more than you would at a used car with comparable mileage. So at this point, go new. And reach out to me, and I've got some great contacts that we can kind of walk you through the process, from the financing side to, the actual selection and then the delivery of it. So just want to be a resource, for y'all, when, the need does arise for a new car, because, it's a necessary evil. You got to have one. But, being strategic about where you go and who you talk to and what you find is paramount. So that's kind of a nutshell on the car side. I'll get into the auto insurance side. So, insurance is defined. It's a transfer of risk from one person to an insured. So you get insurance with the company like Geico or State Farm or any of the multitude out there. You get into an accident, we're going to cover you. So there's basic components of auto insurance that you need to know: bodily injury liability, property damage liability, medical payments, and then what's paramount now, uninsured and underinsured motorist. And then we'll kind of go through the different coverages and everything you get from a car level. So there's just a high level overview of the different components. Next slide. So bodily injury liability, you'll often see it as you see under bodily injury coverages right there. You'll see it listed as like 25, 50, 25, or 50, 100, 100, 300. So what that is bodily injury liability pays for damages, if somebody is injured or killed in an accident, which you're responsible for. Anything that happens, somebody tries to come after you, sue you for rear-ending them, and they say they have whiplash, you're protected up to those limits set. So the Georgia state minimums are 25,000, 50,000. What that means is that's 25,000 per person and 50,000 per occurrence. So if you get into an accident and there's only one person in the car, it's 25,000 per person, and then 50,000 for that full occurrence. When you're younger, when you're first coming out of college, you don't have a lot of assets. You're just getting into the workforce. You can't get blood from a stone. So from a legal standpoint, you're probably okay with the 25, 50 or 50, 100 to start out with. But as you start to work and you gain assets and you buy a house and you buy a car, you've got I guess we'll just say more to lose, then you need to have more coverages. And that's where you get up to the 100, 300, the 200, 250,000, 500,000 per occurrence. And you obviously, you pay more to have more coverage. So to start out with, you're probably fine on the 2550 or 5100. Again, reach out to me. We can play with options. We can see what works best for you and move forward on that. Next page. So property damage liability. So this pays for damage to other people's property as a result of an accident. Generally, it's going to be a car. But maybe you're in a neighborhood and you run through a mailbox and hit a car and then run into the side of the house. It's going to pay for all that property damage. And again, it's very similar coverage levels. You can customize it to however you want. State minimums are 25,000. I always at least lead with 50,000 because you think of the price of cars today too, like we just talked about. You're hard pressed to find a car that's worth less than $25,000 out there. If you hit a new car, and it costs $30,000 to replace, you've only got $25,000 in coverage. So you've got a $5,000 gap right there. So we're pushing at least 50,000, if not 100,000 in coverage to help protect you properly, because we want to make sure, accidents happen, unfortunately, and we want to make sure that you're properly covered, in the incident you hit a more expensive car. If you live in Atlanta, I might go with 100,000. You run into a Mercedes or you run into a Tesla or a Maserati or something, you're going to need extra coverage. So, it's different based on where you live, and that's what we do at our office is we look at, where you live, what you're doing, what you're driving, what your commute looks like, and we can kind of tailor a policy that best fits your needs. And then we can grow with you, as things change in your life, you can always change your coverages at any time. So it's nothing that's ever set in stone. You get your policy with 25,000 limits and you start driving around and you see you're surrounded by BMWs all day. Well, we can look it up in your coverages for you. Next page. Medical payments. So this is something we generally will add if you don't have health insurance. So basically it covers, reasonable expenses, medical, dental, any hospital expenses for those, for the insured, so the people who are on the policy, as well as passengers, family members, anybody who might be in your car. So that can be added on from, a $2,000, per person limit to $5,000 to $10,000. Generally, your healthcare is going to cover it. So it's not always something you need from an excess coverage. But if you're getting out of work and you're a healthy recent grad and you've got an HSA plan and you've got a $6,500 deductible, maybe you want to put $5,000 in coverage on that so that can help pay towards your deductible in case something happens. So it's just an added level of protection for you to help with medical expenses. But So this is always important, and as the price of insurance, price to replace cars, and everything with the economy right now continues to go the way it's going, it's even more important. So uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage. So this protects you and anybody in your car if somebody you get in an accident with is uninsured, underinsured, or if it's even a hit and run. So if it's a hit and run, you don't know who did it, so it comes from your uninsured motorist bucket, and unfortunately there's a lot of uninsured drivers out there. It's my mission to try and, get them insured at a price that they can afford, but to maintain that coverage because, nothing's worse than getting, rear-ended by somebody and they don't have insurance and we're not going to pay out, there's nothing to cover you. So, in the case that you do get hit by somebody that isn't insured, it's a 200, generally we lead with a $250 deductible, to help cover, any expenses that may arise from that. So I could put an example here. There's car slams in your car and you're injured. That driver that caused the accident doesn't have enough insurance to cover your medical bills. This coverage will pay, your medical bills up to that limit. And, it also helps for underinsured. So if somebody only has 25,000, 50,000, 25,000 property damage, they caused $30,000 worth of damage, they've only got 25 to cover. So there's still that extra limit, so that our uninsured motorist would take that extra 5,000 and pay it off so you wouldn't have to come out of pocket. So it's definitely a key piece of insurance that a lot of times is left out. You go to some of the lower rate insurance companies and they don't lead standard with uninsured motorists. We always do, and we always coverage counsel to make sure you do have that, because unfortunately there's a lot of uninsured and underinsured motorists, with the state minimums being 25, 25, 50, 25, that's in a lot of cases that's underinsured, and unfortunately those are the limits, but it's better to be protected further in the case you get into an accident. Next slide, Kate. All right, so now we'll get into vehicle coverages. So two main types of vehicle coverages are comprehensive and collision. So comprehensive can be kind of defined as OTC or other than collision. So it's anything, any incident that happens with your car that's not a collision. So it's theft, storm damage, vandalism, you hit an animal on the road, glass breakage. We generally lead with a $250 deductible on here because, average windshield on a normal car is going to be $500. So you're getting a half price windshield. Some of the more expensive cars, the newer cars, they've got all the telematics and all the, assisted, braking and all of that. And they can be, $2,000 or $3,000 to replace a windshield. So we lead with either $250 or $500 on comprehensive. But that's key to have, and we can customize, whether you've got an old car and you don't want collision. I'll get into collision in a second, but we can customize it into, both comprehensive, by itself without having collision, and you can get you emergency roadside service and rental reimbursement tied in with that as well. So collision pays for damages to your car caused by collision with another object, or when you get an accident, your car overturns, anything like that. So those are standard $500 to $1,000 deductibles based on what you can afford, what you're going to put a claim in for. And I should probably slow down and explain a deductible. So if you're not familiar with deductibles is what you pay out of pocket before your insurance kicks in. So if you get into an accident, you have a $500 deductible. Say you've got $5,000 in damages, you're going to get awarded $4,500 from the insurance company. You generally don't have to pay it up front. They'll just take it out of the reimbursement you get for the incident. So that's the amount you're going to come out of pocket. So, if you come out and you've got a great job coming out and you're making good money, and you can afford $1,000 deductible, I'd recommend it because it's going to make your premiums lower. And in all reality, if you get $500, $600 worth of damage, you're probably better off just paying that out of pocket than you are putting in a claim, because the more claims you have, your rates will go up. We don't want that happening. So, it's kind of, you got to look at that cost benefit, but that's where our office comes in, that we can kind of guide you and kind of talk you through the options. Emergency roadside service, that's pretty straightforward. Everybody's got it. We throw it on our policy standard. So if you break down, pull up the Geico mobile app, you can get, towing to the nearest dealership. If you need help changing a tire, you need a jump start. If your battery dies, you lock your keys in your car, up to $100, they'll come out and open your car for you or get you a locksmith or whatever is needed. So that's, key service. I mean, it's very, it's like AAA. I had to do it the other day. I blew a coolant line and my car completely shut down, overheated, and I had to obviously pull over immediately. They were out 45 minutes, picked me up on the side of the road, got me to the dealership. I was out that day. So definitely a key service to have. Most insurance providers cover it. And then rental reimbursement is the kind of last add there. So that gets you a rental car in the case of a claim. So if you get into an accident, your car is going to the body shop for a week, 2 weeks. I mean, nowadays with parts and, the availability and everything and the labor to fix cars, we're seeing a lot, hit that 30 days where, it's in the shop for 30 days. So rental reimbursement pays you up to a set limit per day for 30 days. So it can either be $35 a day for 30 days, $50 a day for 30 days, or $75. So if you drive a larger car, if you drive an SUV, you're probably going to want to have that $75 in coverage so you can get a comparable vehicle, to replace in the chance that you do have an accident. If it comes to a point in your life, you've got, 5 or 6 different cars. You don't need, if you've got spare cars, you don't need an extra one, it's a good problem to have. Then you might not need that rental reimbursement. But, that's kind of insurance and car buying in a nutshell. Sorry if I rambled a little bit, but anybody have any questions?
Now we've got 2 people on the call, so we'll let them ask questions if they have them. If not, I can throw some out while they think. So whatever works for the group.
Hey, Kendra, good to see you again.
Hi, sorry I was late.
Kendra, we're recording.
No problem.
We're gonna stick it on our YouTube too, so you'll be able to catch everything that you missed, and I'll email it to you when we're done.
Okay, thank you.
I'll get that out to you today or tomorrow, and then we'll share more widely too. So, and of course, if there's questions you have, even if it's something that we already talked about, we can back up a couple slides, or Nick can just speak to it. That's fine. One question I had, Nick, since my husband and I just went through the car buying process for me in December, and then him now, we've got one on order waiting for it to come in. What are your opinions on gap insurance at the dealership? Something, our parents always advised, yes, get it, you need it, but how does that look from your standpoint?
So that's not something Geico provides, but it is something obviously a dealership provides. I would, in today's market, I would recommend it. I mean, really, it protects you in case you're underwater in your car. So, you pay, let's say, $50,000 for your car, you drive off the lot. All right, generally it depreciates a little bit as you drive off. You get in an accident right when you drive off the lot. Well, we're saying fair market value is $45,000. That gap insurance will cover that extra $5,000. So on brand new cars, I would do it. I mean, if you're buying a used car, I probably wouldn't do it, because you're probably not really going to be underwater in it, and you're probably not going to owe more on it than what it's valued at. But it's pricing varies on it, so that's something you just kind of got to weigh from the cost benefit of whether it's worth it to spend that extra money. But on a new car, I'd probably recommend it for a few. It's generally worth a few $100. So recommend it.
I'm glad to hear you say that. So we didn't get like swindled at the dealership by adding that on, because we do every time we add it on. So good.
yeah. Vu over at Toyota will go through it all with you. He's their finance manager. So.
Yeah, I've worked with Vu a couple times, and I always tell him, I'm like, okay, you can add gap insurance, Vu, but don't make my payment go more than that.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
No, and I mean, it is their job to sell those additions, but they are beneficial. In the case of buying a brand new car, I'd recommend it just so you're protecting that investment. And who knows where the car market's going to go either. I mean, you're buying right now, and you're buying at MSRP. If the car market eventually recession or whatever we got coming ahead of us, it starts to tank or something, then you are extra protected. So at this point, buying at the top of the market, I would recommend it.
Awesome, thank you. Kendra or Vincent, I saw you just joined, or our person who's on the phone. Sorry, I don't know your name. But do you guys have questions? We are recording, so everything that you missed we'll have up on YouTube. We'll send it to you guys. But do you have questions, like you were coming here wanting to know like one specific thing, or what were you really hoping to get out of it that Nick can answer while we've got him on the call?
Nothing necessarily in particular, just kind of listening for the information.
Okay, perfect. Well, we're glad that you're here. Nick's gone through the slides. Like I said, we recorded, so we'll send it out, and you can definitely get everything that way. You can watch the replay. We'll get it to you. But Nick, I was wondering, if you are talking to a recent grad, they're looking at buying their first car, or maybe their first new car. What's like your best advice for them headed into the dealership? Like, what do they need to know? What do they need to have prepared before they even walk in? Because I think we hear some horror stories about just walking into the dealership and they kind of see you coming that way. So what would you tell a new grad out to buy that first brand new vehicle?
Don't be intimidated. I mean, car salesmen and the hustle kind of, it's not as bad as you think. I mean, they're there to sell you a car, and they're going to put you, in the best option that they have. The problem right now is just finding a car. But know, what you can afford, so know your monthly payment, what you need to be, and let them know that up front, like, hey, listen, I've only got $450 that I can budget towards a car right now. What can we do? I've got X trade-in. Unfortunately right now, don't go in and think you can haggle, because there's just not inventory out there. So if you see something you like right now and you need a car right now and you find that model and the price is good, you got to buy it, because if you come back tomorrow, it's probably going to be gone. I mean, everything, not everything, but most cars are pre-sold right now just because the supply is not there. I mean, it's been, computer chip shortages, because, I mean, each car takes like 1,500 chips. So, it's, everything's so, much more technologically advanced now that, the supply chains are really hitting the auto industry hard. Certain ones have been hit, more than others. But just know, like, if you find a car, and they say, hey, listen, you need to buy this today or it might not be there. Other times, a couple of years ago, I may say that'd be a hard sell. They're just trying to get you to buy the car today. But right now, it's kind of true. So don't think that you're going to be able to go, across the street and find the same thing and, get $5,000 less. So, it's probably not what you want to hear, but it's kind of the truth. Right now we're just in a weird market and everything's inflated and supply is not there. And, if you have to have a new car, you gotta pay for it. With that said, feel free, if you're in the market, obviously for a new car, for insurance, reach out to me. We want to be a resource here. You were here for the beginning of the conversation, but, I know a lot of the auto dealers, here in Noonan, Carrollton, LaGrange, so this whole area, I work with them day in, day out. I'm about to head to dealerships after this meeting right now. So I can put you with some good sales reps and managers to make sure that you are getting a good, fair deal, and that they take care of you. So, yeah, you just saw my information there. That's my office line. You may get one of my agents or my sales manager, but just tell them you want to talk to Nick. I'm leaving town tomorrow, and I'll be back next Tuesday, but happy to help anybody. Yeah, and congrats on graduating too. It's awesome. It's exciting.
Thank you so much, Nick. Before we hang up, because I know we are kind of ahead of time, Kendra, did you have any questions? Or friend on the phone, did you have anything before we hang up? Of course, you can always reach out to Nick directly, or you can reach out to us and we'll put you in touch with Nick if you didn't get his information down. We'll make sure to connect you if you need it.
No, I didn't have any questions at the time.
Okay. And of course, if you think of questions, because I know that kind of inevitably happens, you are, watching a webinar and then later it's like, I should have asked whatever, reach out. I'm happy to forward any questions to Nick, or you can reach out to him directly, either way. Nick, any final words for us before we stop the recording and head out?
No, good luck out there. I hope post graduation is going great. Maybe take this summer and have some fun before you dive into the job world. But you're coming into a good job market, so be aggressive out there and try and get the best offer you can. I graduated in 2008, and it was a terrible job market. So I went back and got my master's. Came out in 2009. It was still a bad market, but utilized West Georgia too. So I got my first job out of college through career services at West Georgia. So use the resources you have. LinkedIn's great. Make sure you have a good LinkedIn profile, because that's used by a lot of employers to kind of vet the screening process when looking for jobs. So yeah, good luck out there, and congratulations again. And feel free to reach out if you need anything from an insurance or car standpoint.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nick.
Yep, happy to help. Thanks, Kate. Have a great weekend.